Let's turn to last night. It was a big day, big night for a lot of folks. What do last night's election results mean for the state of American politics?
Well, what a difference a year makes, right? I mean, that's my first thought as the results poured in last night. If you were a Democrat in 2024, the day after the election, you felt pretty bad about yourself. There were a lot of anger, a lot of disgust, a lot of depression. Well, the complete opposite here is on the day after Election Day 2025. Democrats winning pretty much everywhere that they wanted to win. The New Jersey governor's race, the Virginia governor's race, the New York City mayoral contest was an interesting Democrat v. Democrat matchup, really, but the Democratic nominee ultimately won there. In California, which don't skip on California and the redistricting measure and the impacts for the country, that's going to likely allow more Democrats to represent California in Congress in future years. It really makes the Californian Republican congressman an endangered species going forward. I also think it's important to provide proper context of the meaning of Election Day 2025 versus 2024. We shouldn't put it on the same level, right? In some parts of the country didn't even vote yesterday. In places where there were elections, it certainly was a big deal. I think this is the shot in the arm that Democrats so desperately needed. There was a lot of soul searching. There still is a lot of soul searching going on as to the direction of the party. But having victories and having a wide array of victories. You had more moderate Democrats win the governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey. You had a Democratic Socialist, very progressive ideas in New York. I think it speaks to the big tent that is Democratic policies right now here in 2025. As far as Republicans go, they're saying, wait a minute. These are states and cities that all voted for former Vice President Kamala Harris in last year's presidential election. It's not like these were swing states that we're talking about. So again, important context is needed. Holly, President Trump put blame on the fact that he wasn't on the ballot as the reason Republicans did so poorly last night. And also, and this is interesting, he also mentioned the government shutdown as a reason. Does the results of last night's election impact the government shutdown, which today set the grim record as being the longest shutdown in American history?
Yeah, let me ask you that, Joe, because will this now going forward make lawmakers in Washington, particularly Republicans, say, you know what? The country is speaking, voters are speaking, and maybe we do need to sit down now and talk, even on both sides, whether the Democrats feel like they may have a little bit more juice and whether the Republicans feel like we're listening a little bit, harder now. What do you think?
I'm so glad you brought up that, right? Because we're expecting Republicans to be meeting with President Trump at the White House this morning to discuss the term that's thrown around a lot here in D.C. is an off-ramp. That's Washington speak for a way out of this. Going into election night, we knew there were a number of Democrats ready to get out of this shutdown, the conversations happening, intensifying behind the scenes. But because this was a rout, as leader Hakeem Jeffries said, right? This was a big, I'm hesitant to call it a blue wave, but it was certainly blue everywhere. Because this was such a victory, if you're a progressive Democrat saying, hey, we should stay in this fight longer until we get what we want, until we truly get those subsidies that we've been fighting for, maybe now isn't the time to back out of this government shutdown. I think it's one of the biggest questions on Capitol Hill this morning. How does this shutdown, how does the results of last night impact the shutdown going forward? Remember, there's this sense that we're close to something. There's more optimism in D.C. today that a deal is close, but that was before these results came in, which showed widespread Democratic victories from California to New Jersey.